Hi, my name is Jeff, and I'm going to talk to you about the differences between vos, tú, and usted in Costa Rica. Most of you probably don't know me, so first I will introduce myself. Again, my name is Jeff Forney, and I just retired. I was a high school Spanish teacher in New Jersey. I also taught at the University of Stockton in New Jersey, as well as having done my student teaching in Ecuador. And I still visit my host family from Costa Rica, where I started my master's degree. I did 2 semesters at the University of Costa Rica. And I still travel there quite a lot as I now take people on tours of Costa Rica. Onto the topic. Tú, vos, and usted. These words are different in Costa Rica than from the rest of the Spanish-speaking world. So let's start with the Spanish-speaking world. Most of the Spanish-speaking world uses tú or usted. For them, usted is formal. It's what you use to talk to your boss, to people you don't know very well, to people that you would call in English, you would call them by Mr. or Mrs. Most professionals, you would use usted, your doctor, your lawyer, your teacher, anyone you met at a store or a place of business, whether it would be the cashier at a grocery store or the stock boy at a grocery store, you would address all of them as usted because it's formal, it's polite. Tú is not impolite, but it is informal. It is what you would call your spouse, anybody in your family, young children, your pets, anybody that you were friends with that was probably your same age. If they were older than you would probably use usted. But then again, that depends on your relationship with them. Are you friends with them? Are they family friends? Or are they just people that you don't know very well? Okay, so know them very well, you say tú. Don't know them very well, you say usted. Now, in Costa Rica, that's a little bit different because in Costa Rica, the working class and the middle class do not use tú at all. They only say usted. Tú is virtually non-existent for the middle and lower classes and the working classes in Costa Rica. You will hear them, a grandma will say to their grandson, usted. Husband and wife will say usted to one another. Best friends will say usted. You will hear usted everywhere, okay? That said, because the use of usted is particular to Costa Rica, sometimes people who are well-educated, who realize that the rest of the Spanish-speaking world doesn't just use usted. They learn the difference between tú and usted according to the rest of the Spanish-speaking world. And so sometimes you will hear people in higher education or people who are well-educated use tú because they have learned that that's regional, okay? So in Costa Rica, the use of tú has fallen into disuse. If you compare it to English, we used to have 2 words for you also. We had you and thou. And believe it or not, thou was the informal. And somewhere along the line in the English-speaking world, thou ceased to be used. And most people, or everybody really, use you. Same thing is happening in Costa Rica. The word tú, or the equivalent of thou, is fallen into disuse. Everybody uses usted. But like I said, higher education, highly educated people, or some people who are just well educated, they will use tú. But to the working class and the middle class, that sounds what they call pipi, which sounds like fancy. It sounds like somebody, or it sounds like somebody who's not from around there. Like maybe they think that they're Mexican or they're from Spain or they're from some other country where they use the word tú. Okay, so most people use usted. Some people will use tú, but tú is not very common. Um, that brings me to vos. Vos does not get used in Mexico, does not get used in Spain. It begins to get used in Central America and in some parts of northern South America, but it gets used greatly in Argentina, Uruguay, and Paraguay, and in Chile. Um, so what is vos? That also depends on where you come from. In Argentina, vos is just like saying tú, because in Argentina, they don't say tú. They only say vos or usted. And so using vos in Argentina is just normal for talking informally. Um, when I did my student teaching in Ecuador, I lived with a middle class family, kind of upward middle class family, and they considered using vos to be vulgar. When the 13-year-old in my family used vos with his mother, she slapped him in the face. And she said, "You will not talk like that in my house." So vos, there I learned, but that was a long time ago, that was vulgar and they would not use it. In Costa Rica, people use vos only with really close friends. You would not, even husband and wife, I don't really hear them using vos with each other. Vos is what you say with really, really close friends that you're hanging out with, somebody you might go drinking with. It is considered very, very informal. Um, I don't know too many people who use vos except for teenagers. Teenagers use it a lot among themselves. Um, Oddly, it is also used in advertisements in Costa Rica. So when you read billboards, you will see that they are written using vos. Now, I'm not quite sure why that is. I'm imagining that that's because advertising agencies come from Argentina and other places that make advertisements for a larger audience, and then the ones that they make in Costa Rica are end up being in vos because that's what they use from the advertisement agency. But I'm not quite sure about that. I think that's about all I have to say about that. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments. Thanks. This is Jeff Forney. Take care.